Hello everyone, and welcome to a building guide and review of Perfumer Byblis. This video is a bit earlier than usual, but I'm pretty sure I have this character fully figured out because of how strong they are. You can expect in this video any forms of sets, builds that you can put on this character, and a full review of the current character's state in terms of all game modes. So as usual, please familiarize yourself with the kit. So her skill 1 is over here, having a defense break, and this is what defense break does if you're unaware, and her soul burn effect is on her S1, triggering her dual attack from highest attack. Her passive is pretty long, so be sure to pause and give a read, and lingering fragrance is right here. Last but not least, we have her skill 3. Be sure to pause and give it a read, and any other additional effects is down here. So some important things to note is that she feels very strong. I left Turbo Broken there from my last building I reviewed, but feels very strong. Proc set, I think is a very interesting set to use on her, but it's only off the initial stat value. It is not proportional to the HP that she gains afterwards on her buff. So just so you know, your barrier strength is going to be less than you think it would be, but that being said, it's not terrible on her. For instance, if you're getting controlled by Tenebria and you get hit below 50% HP, she is not going to cleanse your team and she's not going to heal your team. So that's something that's very important, because if you are getting controlled or you're just going to get hit, and if you're facing a high damage comp, you're not going to get the cleanse off. Another thing is the S3 does not have a strip. It's very important to note this. So if you are playing a more aggressive Byblis and you're in a turn 2 versus turn 2 matchup, if your opponent has a mini, your S3 is not going to do a lot for you. It does means that if you're playing things like RTA, you may want to skip your first turn on Byblis for the purpose of just getting a better value S3. At the same time, her turn cooldowns aren't very long from what you see here, having a 3-turn cooldown on her S3 and 3-turn cooldown on Belle Nuit, meaning that she does cycle very quickly anyways, so it is pretty much up to you and to make the decision in the match if you want to use it or not. So now let's talk about some effective stats that you want on the character. So here are all your good stats. You want some speed, health, defense, and effect resistance. Now, effect resistance is kind of optional, but I put it here because I do think, because of the fact that if she is crowd controlled, she will not be able to proc her S2. So I think effect resistance is actually a very good stat for you to have. Otherwise, effectiveness is a little bit on the optional side because you do get effectiveness buff, but running some effectiveness does mean you have higher tag chances on priority targets like Well, Maid Chloe, or any mitigation knight. As for bad stats, crit stats do not matter on the character, as for she is a support and debuffer, and attack doesn't do anything for her, once again because she is a support character and a debuffer. So let's talk about the best artifacts here. I think Veritas is way too much of a strong option to not pick on her because of the cycling as well as the debuff cleanse. There has been multiple situations where the debuff cleanse has saved me on this character. For instance, when I was fighting Diane, after 3 turns, the seal got cleansed off of me, putting my opponent in a very bad position. There was also another case where I had a defense break on me and it self-cleansed it because it was one of the first debuffs on her. It is just a very ridiculously strong artifact from what I've seen because of the self-debuff cleanse. It kind of reminds me of Sweet Miracle. And we cannot forget that it also improves team cycling for herself, because it allows for her to get free CR push. This also allows her to run at lower speeds and make up for her lower speeds because of the CR push on this artifact, so you can push some other stats like defense, HP, effectiveness, or effect resistance, whatever you choose, so it'll be a lot more easier for you. That being said, if you choose not to run this artifact, some other viable options will be Guardian Ice Crystals or its free variant. Proof of Friendship is not terrible because it allows for more HP as well as team cycling. And if you want to go down into lower tiers, you can take a Doctor's Bag if you want more healing, maybe additional debuff at Dispel because she only dispels 2. Rod, Stella Harpa if you want more Dispel, Bastion so maybe she doesn't get debuff, Queen's Whistle for more aggressiveness, Celestine for more healing once again, Idol's Share for more team cycling. And once again, if you want to delve even more into the other Soul Weaver artifacts, there are some other options there. Now these Soulburn artifacts are pretty decent. I think Spotted Eye Mousekeeper is a tech pick. It really just depends on what you're going to use for it. But for more general players, you're not going to be using this unless you are an aggro or cleave player that wants to use her for attack. So in terms of best sets, you can run any one of these 2-piece sets between protection set, speed set, or I'm pretty sure everything else doesn't really matter. And you can run any one of these 2-piece sets. Now I also do recommend you can run triple set on this character. I do find it very valuable because a mini set feels a little bit important on her. So here are some example stat lines that you can follow. So here's a standard build. So you're going to be building between 180 speed, 200 speed, and some defense here. Around 1600 should be fine, and around 23 or any bit of like super high HP you can get will be preferable on this character. Effect resistance anywhere near 100 I think is nice. I lowered it for 80 because I went to go look at someone else's build to see what they can build, and I felt like lowering it to 80 just so you could be a little bit more doable is fine, and any level of effectiveness is fine as well. And there's a typo there, as you can see, so I will fix it so you guys can no longer see it because I totally did not type that. Anyways, next up we have the more tankier build, which can be more useful when fighting more aggressive comps or maybe even cleave. Now I do have this clip here, I'll show it afterwards anyways. First let's talk about this build. So you can build 160 speed or a little bit higher than this if you want, and you're basically stacking up as much bulk as you possibly can. I do have an example build for this so I can show you a bit later. And because we are sacrificing speed, we want to bring up all of our other stats as much as possible. So effect resistance, I do strictly say you want to be a bit above 100, and effectiveness you can run as much as you like so you can try to tag your opponent. One more build for you to try is the speed set build. This one's going to be more on the aggressive side with the goal of being able to be just a bit more faster so you can cycle your S3 as well as try to control your enemy team with debuffs and effectiveness. This also does a little bit better into aggro teams in terms of playing for the provoke on your S3 as long as there's no immunities on the other side. So if you want to give this one a try, do so as well. This just comes with a disadvantage of being slightly more squishier on the squishier end. But of course it's played more so for a different situation where you're playing more for the aggressive control option Byblis can probably provide for you. Alright, so this is a little new section that I added here, which is my example builds as of what I'm running on my Byblis. So here's the first build here, which is a little bit more on the faster side. And as you can see, we hit 1700 defense, 25k HP, and we are a little bit high in effectiveness, a little bit high on ER. And you can see the substats here, and you see it's a little bit super strong. So what I decided to also do is equip some weaker gear so you can see what the stat line looks like with some lower substat totals. So you can see we're sitting around a little bit high defense, but we have much lower HP than before, a little bit lower ER, and we have a bit higher effectiveness. And once again, I equipped a little bit weaker gear here so you can see what it looks like. And then this is my triple set build here, which you can see how much HP lowered, and we still have pretty high defense and some pretty high ER, and here's all the substats for it. Alright, last but not least, here's all the Byblis combos. Now, Byblis feels the greatest when played in the turn 2 match, so you want to just basically pair her with any one of these characters here so you can just bulk down, hunker down, and just survive, right? Characters you want to be aware of are debuffers as a whole. Nodos dispels all your buffs and then just punches you, right? And you just want to be aware of these characters because debuffs or straight up cleaves will get through to you. Some cleaves actually will not survive, which is actually surprising. I do have a clip from KJ, which is pretty crazy. I'll show it. But otherwise, debuffers really make it hard for Byblis to function. Characters who have an unbuffable or even block from Tenebria does stop her from increasing her stacks on her buff, which is very important to note. As for the actual review of the character, this character is insanely strong, being able to just increase the bulk on your team every time your opponent takes a turn, as well as just having a very strong cleanse on her S2 and heal. She also can back up with some damage because the two phantoms that she puts on and immediately detonates is almost enough to take your opponent to about 25% of their HP, and the next time you press that S rate, they will be roughly around 40% of their HP already injured. The amount of bulk that you get off your opponent taking multiple turns monstrously high after they start picking mitigation nice and so. For instance, an Ilanov that's sitting around maybe 35k HP already surpasses 40,000 HP, which makes it much harder for your opponent to do anything to you. There was a clip earlier today that I saw where KJ was fighting, I think, Higa, which was rank 3 in Hall of Fame last season, and Higa tried to cleave him, but unfortunately Nodos plus Byblis, the Nodos was too tanky for the strays to kill, and unfortunately the strays, since it didn't kill, it reflected the damage back, which is insane. So this character is just very strong. Now, I wouldn't put too much flack on the damage reflect. I do think the damage reflect is certainly matchup dependent, because in other matchups it's not very huge. It does add up over time, I would say, but it's very matchup dependent. In the case where I just talked about with the KJ's match, Strays was trying to blow up the Nodos, and because it miskilled, it completely got wiped off. So in those cases where there's a DPS that is not very bulky and they do explosive damage and they miskill because of the HP, it is very unfortunate for you. If they do low amounts of damage or don't care about critting, for instance like a Bellion, maybe like a Zetsuka, you're not going to see too much value off the damage reflect. But I don't think this is the primary reason you're picking this unit. Anyways, you're picking this unit because of the HP, the provoke, the dual attack, and the defense break, and the cleanse as well. That being said, this character is ridiculously strong. I even started to first pick her in RTA because she's just very, very strong. In terms of Guild Wars and RTA, this character should be most certainly very usable. I've been using her a lot in regular arena to climb because it's just a very strong option for you to pick. And as for Guild Wars, once again, I feel like she's probably a really strong pick because she allows you to just get like a recovery off of your just HP just getting lowered below 50%. So I don't see a reason why she wouldn't be highly usable. Anyways, I think that's pretty much it for this character. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.